Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a three-tier topic show for you to get into, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking Silk Song. We got some information from Reddit, and of course, you take it with a grain of salt. Everyone has been waiting on that game. Well, we did learn last week during the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement that is definitely coming to Switch, which is pretty damn interesting. I'm sure it's going to do very well there. But we also have, of course, well, today's the launch day. And there he is, Mr. Umbra, speak of the devil. And I don't mean that figuratively. We said, we are ready to talk about one of his favorite games of the year, folks. He has done it again. 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements. I'm working my way there right now in South of Midnight. South of Midnight released today. It's official. It's out. I cannot wait for people who didn't spend the money on the upgrade, which was only $10. And again, listen, $10 is $10 in 2025. Some people were uneasy of whether or not it'd be a game that they like. And it's great to know that we're going to get a lot of big opinions on it. We will definitely talk about that. We're also going to get into Marathon. Now, there is a rumor that there's obviously going to be a beta happening right after the showcase, which is supposed to happen on the 11th. I got some thoughts and some theories regarding that game. I don't know. I'm definitely not playing it. It's an extraction shooter game. That's just not my bag. But we'll get into all of that momentarily. Welcome, everyone. We got already 100 people here. Jamie Moran, good morning, kind sir. How you feeling?
Hey man, happy to be here. Look, I'm excited about all the game news. I will put this out there. If Oblivion happens to drop in the next hour, I'm out.
Hey, listen,
I'm joking.
No. I will stop the show. Don't worry about it. We'll all leave.
That's the show, folks. Oblivion just dropped. We out of here.
Bye. See you later. I'll record some video.
I don't blame.
Hey, Infinite Umbra. Good morning, kind sir. Because it is good morning in Chi-Town. It's 11 a.m. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Hey, good morning to both of you fellas and to the chat. I'm feeling all right. Boom, man. I had it is chilly in Chicago right now.
It's a little chilly here today. I think we woke up to 39 degrees here in New Rochelle, New York, which is
so about the same
cold.
for me.
Yeah, a little
36 here, but it feels like 31. It says. So
yikes. Okay, not good.
But I mean, hey, I like it when it's cold though.
Me too. I'm a cold fan. I do not like the heat. I hate the summer.
Same.
Spring, okay, but
I'm a cold connoisseur, if you will. Yeah, man. I'm feeling good though. I played through, as you know, South of Midnight, and I have many thoughts on it. I definitely, and I can't say everything I want to say just yet, because I don't want to spoil it for people, and I know people are probably just jumping into it today.
Yes. So spoiler-free conversation coming this way.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to be here with you guys today, though.
Well, it's glad to have you here. Folks, I was kind of on the fence of where do we go first? Do we open up with South of Midnight because it is launch day and it is a big conversation? But you know what I want to do? I think I want to open up with the Hollow Knight Silk Song information. Now, obviously, last week, gentlemen and chat, it was announced that Hollow Knight Silk Song would be coming to the Switch or the Nintendo Switch 2. That's not surprising. They do partner with indies on a regular basis. It's a small title. It's going to do very well on that console. There's no doubt about it. It has already been announced years ago for Xbox, more specifically, dropping into Xbox Game Pass day and date. Amazing, right? I played maybe an hour of the original one. It's not high on my bucket list, to be quite honest. And I'm not saying it because the game is not relevant. It's an important piece of artwork because it looks gorgeous. It is a Souls-like 2D game. Not normally my bag, but I would imagine that if it drops in the Xbox Game Pass, I'll play it, or I'll give it a shot, or I'll even go back to play. I think I actually bought the first one, the first Hollow Knight. But this morning, thanks to, let me just make sure, because I like giving credits to King Webb, who's always in the chat here. King Webb, shout out to you, kind sir. He dropped some information that popped up this morning. Now, granted, folks, you take this with a grain of salt. It is from Reddit, and it is from the section called Gaming Leaks and Rumors. It was posted 4 hours ago. And according to this poster, it says Hollow Knight Silksong hinted to appear at the ACMI's September Game Worlds showcase. And again, it literally says here, grain of salt. Now, what it goes on to say is the ACMI has done exhibits on Hollow Knight before, so it's not unreasonable to assume that they are working with Team Cherry once again. In addition to what has the link was posted above, which I'm not going to click on because I don't want my computer exploding. I don't click on links I don't know. It says that in the article by ACMI says highly anticipated Australian title for 2025 will appear. Now, on April 2nd, Silksong was confirmed, like I just said moments ago, to be released in 2025, which is awesome. Surprisingly, this exposition was announced on that very same day. It took us until now to actually discover it and put one on one together. Jamie Moran, you and I were talking in the green room. Let's talk again. This is a small topic, folks, but it also has a lot of weight to it because there are a lot of fans in this chat right now that are looking forward to Hollow Knight Silksong. You may not be one of them, Jamie, and I'm right there with you. Like I said, folks, it's important. Yes. It's in Game Pass day and date. Yes. So Xbox is working close with Team Cherry, and that is awesome. But even though it's not my type of game and I might not ever get to it, it is the type of game for a lot of people on Xbox who may play on Xbox because it's an Xbox Game Pass. Let's get your thoughts on the fresh information from Reddit.
Yeah, I mean, like as we were saying before the show went live, I love Souls games, but I can't get into 2D ones. For the life of me, I just can't do it. But that said, Hollow Knight, beautiful art style, smooth gameplay, and like this sequel, it's been coming for years. People have been expecting this for years, and every single showcase, doesn't matter if it's been Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, hell, Steam, whoever has a showcase, 90% of the chat is Silksong. Like every single time. And like the first game did incredibly well. As far as I know, this game originally started off as an expansion, then it turned into a full game. I don't know how true that is, but either way, people have been excited for this. And every few years, I should say every year, we get one or two very large indie games, and like this is going to be one of them. Like this is going to sell probably millions of copies. It being day one on Game Pass is huge. It's going to get a lot of people into the genre, which is great. But I mean, like literally, like this is probably going to be one of the biggest games of the year. And even if people don't like these types of games, like it's a big deal. This is probably the number one most anticipated game for a lot of people. It's probably going to get Game of the Year for a lot of people. And as we know, indie games can be pretty much nominated for Game of the Year. Jeff Keighley's show. So like there's Billotro last year. I 100% think Silksong is going to be there no matter what. It's basically guaranteed. It is a popular contest anyway, but it's a big deal, I think millions of people are going to enjoy this game, and yeah, I think it will be coming out sooner rather than later. But yeah, I think millions of people are going to play this, especially on Game Pass.
Well, I mean, listen, why wouldn't you try it, right? Like if you are a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, then why wouldn't you try it? Like I said, the first one, I think, and folks, correct me if I'm wrong, is still a part of Game Pass. And if it's not, I'm sure you can find it somewhere cheap. So obviously, I don't suggest playing the second one without playing the first one, because I'm sure there's going to be some sort of a correlation to its sequel. But look, again, at the end of the day, not every game is for every gamer, Umbra, but there are a lot of games for a lot of people, and this one is very popular. Make no mistake, Silksong, which is a sequel to the original Hollow Knight, has been talked about and talked up by gamers for years. We've all been, and I say we, I'm being facetious, we as gamers have all been waiting to see when this releases, where it releases. It's not an Xbox exclusive. No one ever thought that was going to be the case. It's going to release everywhere because Team Cherry is a relatively small studio and they need to sell this game, and it is going to sell. Make no mistakes. This game is going to freaking sell like hotcakes coming in 2025. Let's get your thoughts on the recent Reddit posting.
Yeah, as far as the like, what do you want me to like give my general thoughts as far as excitement
Yeah, I mean,
or
well, more specifically, like I said, it is happening. I thought it would be happening sooner after the Switch announcement. Like, I
oh,
really thought that, okay, coming in 2025. Well, the Switch is releasing in June, right? So I
mhm.
just assumed, and maybe that's making an ass out of you and me and the entire chat. Apologies for that, folks. But I would say, well, that would be a really freaking awesome launch title, and is it's one of those announcements that I kind of find weird because, like the Final Fantasy VII game, the remake on Switch 2, I can't believe it runs there, but it does. That announcement also with this before an Xbox announcement, I found super weird. Like, they must have dropped a bag or something to be able to do that, because obviously we know it's coming to Xbox Game Pass day and date. It's weird that Nintendo got to talk about it and basically confirm that it is releasing in 2025 before Xbox, who teamed up with Team Cherry years ago to get this thing done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, I thought June, but this this Reddit leak that says literally take a grain with salt is that it could be showing up in September, which is a little odd.
You know, the thing is, like, Team Cherry is such a small team.
Mhm.
You know, shout out to the also they're in Jumanji land. They're probably battling like real life bugs that's trying to kill them and take them away. So it's a tough environment. No, but seriously, like, it's been a long time coming for this damn game. It is kind of crazy that it's taking this long, but them being such a small team, and if you played through the first game, anybody that's played it, you'll know it's one of the best Metroidvanias ever made. Now, I'm a big Metroidvania fan. I know, Jamie, you were saying like the 2D versions don't really do it for you at times like that,
Yeah.
because it's a Metroidvania slash kind of Souls like in a way. It really is, so, but it is more forgiving in my opinion than a Souls like, but it does have that bit of kind of Souls like to it. I do definitely do get your feeling on that. But it's such a great Metroidvania that I feel everybody should play it. So my thing on this is, I feel like it's such as being such a small team, I can understand them needing the time, but it does also kind of feel like Xbox had been kind of, I don't want to say the word like, I don't know here because it wouldn't be appropriate, but it does kind of feel like they've been used like, oh, here's Silk Song coming to us years later. Nintendo announces,
Yes.
oh, now we're coming this year officially. Like, it does kind of feel like Xbox paid for the date and Nintendo is taking the lady out, right? Uh, that's the
You're
nice
not
way of
wrong.
that's the nice way of me saying it without saying the word that people these youngsters like to use online. It starts with a C, and I'm not going to say the rest, but yeah, it does kind of feel that way. So I definitely get if anybody is feeling a way about it. I don't know though, because again, them saying it's in September allegedly, that makes sense just because of how small the team is. That's what I would say. And the game is very expansive, more than likely, considering the first game. So it's a lot of polish that went into the first game, a lot of great animation, a lot of great timing for the moves and things you have to do. And then they added more, I believe, later with that extra, I forgot the name of it, but it was this extra like mode that I need to actually go back and finish. It was ridiculously challenging to get through. So I think just because of that, that just may be the case that they really want to make sure they polish the gameplay and everything and refine everything. So I can see it being that long, to be fair. But it does look odd to see that. And it's like, oh, well, we're finally coming this year now, after so much silence on the Xbox side of things. So I get that. But I am excited for it. That said, all of that said, and if I'm not mistaken, that is still coming to Game Pass, correct?
Yes. Game Pass day and date. Yep.
Yeah. So for me, I don't care what Nintendo is doing. It solidified a W on Xbox side. You know what I mean? No matter what anybody would say. Now, it's going to play great on a handheld like that, to be fair. I could see that being well done on it at handheld. And we also got news of Hades 2 allegedly.
Yep. That just broke.
Yeah, being console exclusive to Nintendo Switch, which is pretty annoying, by the way. I'm just going to say it because I love the first game. I had it on Xbox. Now I'm not going to miss out on the game. I can buy it right now for early access, but I'm not playing early access. I want the full game. But yeah, I can get it right now on Steam, but I don't like, I feel like, hey, you brought this game to the first game console, bring the next game out to it. Don't do this. I hate that. I hate that.
I was
especially
literally
with
just
third
saying.
parties.
I was literally just saying to Jamie, it's almost similar to what they did with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yep, very much.
A game that is, I got to tell you, folks, I know that maybe a lot of people don't have Switch in our particular chat, and I get it if you don't. Like, I'm a Switch freak. It is so good. It is so freaking awesome. And hardly no one bought it. Like, that's one of the games that if Nintendo ever went third party, because they paid to have that game made with Team Ninja, is actually, if I'm not mistaken, is the one who made it.
Yeah, I
The
think
game
so.
is great. It has so many characters. It's gorgeous. But
Yeah.
I'd love to see that running on a Series X or even a PS5. And I would buy it again. Like, I would actually buy that again. And this is one of those instances where I wonder how long, because Will the Insider literally just talked about it. I read the story. I have the story literally in front of me from Tom Henderson actually reporting. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, didn't that release early access to PC? And
Yeah,
if you buy it in early
right there
access,
now.
doesn't that mean you get the game? So how's that going to work?
I don't know. The thing is too, like, thanks Calorie for this, but apparently the first game was a year released on Nintendo too before it went to other consoles. So I didn't know if I knew that or I forgot, but that's something to say. I guess they are kind of following the same precedent, right? But my thing would be, for 6 months, he says. Okay, thanks for that information, Calorie. But my thing would be about it though is like, okay, that's cool, but I'm sure their audiences has expanded since that point, right? Like, other people have gotten a chance to enjoy that game okay, yeah, well, I see you, Calorie, thanks. And other people have had a chance to get their hands on it. So I feel like, why kind of shut that part of the community that might want to play the next game off? I feel like this is a misstep, but I'm sure it's still going to do exceptionally well, especially being on the Switch. So it is what it is, I guess, business at the end of the day. But yeah, just getting back to Silk Song though, I don't know how they're going to plan on doing this, and I feel like, again, it does feel kind of like duplicitous a little bit, just because we've been waiting for so long on the Xbox side of things.
Yep.
And that, so seeing it like, oh, let me just show up at Nintendo's, like, how dare you? Where you've been all this time?
It's almost like
Going
Xbox
up
got
with him?
punked, right?
Yeah,
like,
listen, I told you it's to start with a C. I can't say it here, but that's what it kind of feels like. You just gonna take my money,
yeah,
and you'll take him out. How dare you? You're gonna take him and treat him for a steak with the money you asked for a bag for? I thought you wanted a Birkin. You getting this dude
yeah, no. You know what? Honestly, I thought that twice during the show. One was with Silk Song, so I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that's cool that it's coming to Switch, but you get it. They get in the release date first, like the release year. Xbox has been waiting like forever, and then I saw it happen again with what Square did with Nintendo and the Final Fantasy VII remake, and I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. Like, first of all, I'm surprised the Switch 2 actually could run it. That's number one. And number two, to then show up and be like, oh yeah, it's coming to Switch 2. Switch 2 comes out in June. Maybe a little bit. I mean, now again, I don't know if this is one of the reasons why Xbox postponed their partner event, because obviously they're working close with Nintendo. And maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I know that the partner event normally happens in March, and I did get it from two different sources that it was delayed. Now, again, supposedly to both sources, it's still happening, and that announcement could come any day or any week now. And I think it's going to happen in April. But I would imagine at the quote unquote partnered event, something like Silk Song would have shown up with a release date. Something like Final Fantasy VII Remake would have showed up as a date. I find this whole thing odd. Umber.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on it. Like I said, a lot of these moves, they have to do what they have to do for themselves. I get it, it's business. But when you're looking at it, it's like, yeah, but this feels like you made some moves that, to put us back or something. I don't know. but it could be the case. I don't know, man. I feel like I guess we'll never quite know the honest truth about that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm iffy on it in general. You know what? Somebody I made this mention, because I posted this in the chat. And you know, if I'm wrong about something, I don't mind. Like, some people don't like to own up being wrong.
Oh no, I'm the first one to stand on the podium. Like, hey, folks, I got it wrong. I was an idiot. So what?
So what? Right? It shouldn't be that painful to admit you're wrong on something, in my opinion. Just to say this is off topic a bit, but speaking of Nintendo, you know, the whole thing was about like all the tariffs and all that. Like, it's going to play a factor. We know what's happening, right? Like now, if you're trying to pre-order, it's going to be some issues, because that's why they're waiting to April 9th and et cetera, and they got to figure that out. But the Bowser came out, still crazy, by the way, that his name is really Bowser, but isn't that crazy? Like,
it's
do they look for that? I don't know how that worked, but it, you know, I feel like I would have been kept my mouth closed, but he came out and was like, oh, the reason for the console prices in games is not because of the tariffs. It's like, my man, you should have just shut your mouth, because now you made yourself look even worse.
There's a worse story that popped out today. Hold on a sec. This is one of those topics, folks, that I'm going to try and make a video on. And I'm in my mind, like literally as I'm live streaming, I'm trying to figure out what that thumbnail is going to look like, because I really take making a thumbnail super serious, because it sells your brand. So it's got to be interesting. This is one of those topics, because I love that. I love the kind of conversation that we're having right now, only because there's no script. It's like literally we're just giving our opinion. So I actually just saw something, and I sent it to a bunch of people, and it's not good, ladies and gentlemen. So Jez Corden, an amazing journalist, right? There was a posting from Nintendo Everything. They are a Twitter account, and this is what it said. You know, you this is going to make it worse than what you're talking about, Umbra. Here we go. Check this out. It says, Nintendo says it understands that consumers won't be able to afford a Switch 2, which is why they're still making a Switch 1 available. Bro!
That is
done metric.
But that's what the guy. So so I want to give him credit. PG Lee, oh my God, in the chat has a picture of Don Matrix wearing a
yeah, that's Don Matrix all over again, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And pointing to the Switch 2. And Jez Corden, I'm reading verbatim. This is what Jez just wrote moments ago. Isn't that what Microsoft said about the Xbox One versus the Xbox 360?
100%.
And yeah, I mean, so we're here. I know this started out with Silk Song, and like I said, folks, I'm gonna make this into a smaller video. Please don't pan me for trying to do that, because this is crazy. But Umbra, you brought it up. Let's just get into it. I mean, tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about this on Primetime Gaming. I'm already writing that script. King David will be joining us as well. I'm going to see if I can get maybe Dirk Griggity join us, because they're going to have
to get the slander all-stars up in here.
Oh, yes, 100%. Because this is, like, I'm a Nintendo guy, ladies and gentlemen. I don't make any apologies for it, Umbra. I love Nintendo, but this is some bullshit. But let's get your thoughts, man.
Yeah. No, man, like, I don't know if I'll slander those two gentlemen, those two legends right there, but I mean, the thing about it for me is the problem. Again, I was just having this discussion with shout out to Nerds and other legends and Lucius Augustus. You know him, Boom.
Yeah, Lucius, great guy. Nerds and other legends, great members of the community.
Both it's super intelligent brothers, and
indeed,
I was literally just having this discussion with them about the hypocrisy and why I can't stand it, and how it concerns things. And if you really look at it, Xbox gets that a lot. It's a lot of hypocrisy surrounding Xbox, right? Things that others will allow for other platforms or games. Xbox won't get that. And I don't like that. I don't like you will call something out here it's bad, but when your favorite platform does it, or like Nintendo or Sony, hey, listen, you try to hand wave it. I don't like that. And if Xbox got crucified, which they did, as we all know, Matrick lost his job, everything else, so much happened around that. Why is Nintendo and Bowser not being tossed into the lava or something? I guess I got to play off his name and say
no. It's a fair question, and I'd like to let Jamie respond to that, because again, there's something going on here. And look, The gaming media is skewed, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't an Xbox tax situation. This is just, let's just read the room. Umbra asks a legitimate question. And since the Nintendo, unveiling or reveal, right, the Switch 2 reveal, we got $80 and $90 games, right? There is one $70 game, which looks to be great, which is, of course, the new Donkey Kong Bonanza. Looks phenomenal. I'm very excited for it. I said on Friday that if this console was $750, I'm not buying it for myself. I will. And let me be clear here. I will buy one, but it's not going to be for me because I'm not going to tell my 16-year-old, my nephew is my life, that, hey, tariffs. He doesn't give a shit, and he doesn't even know what they are, and I don't need him to know. I want him to be the A student that he is and play the console that he wants. So I'm going to wind up having to bend the knee on this, like many parents. Now, again, he's not my son. He's my nephew. But like many parents, nephews, titis, tios, everything, we're all going to have to bend the knee for these Fs.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is crazy because, again, you said, why can one? And that's the thing that's weird here, Jamie. And I'm sorry for a little bit of a rant, but Xbox does something, and let's say it's totally on the line, and it's positive, and it's community friendly, consumer friendly, panned, right? Shadow banned. Xbox, again, always bad. PlayStation, no problem. They're the market leader. Nintendo, it's Nintendo. Nintendo's gonna Nintendo. I don't know where this goes, Jamie Moran, but this is crazy. This is literally a Don Matrix in 2025. Like, literally.
Yeah, I mean, look, for people that know me, I talk about video game prices a lot because I think that, like, this hobby is bloody amazing, but some things just cost way too much. It is a luxury, but like when you have games coming out that are potentially going to cost the third of a console, then we have a problem. But look, we've talked about this before. I think a lot of people talk about this. Nintendo gets a pass, right? They always will. Xbox, they came out in 2013 talking about, hey, our console's going to have DRM. It's going to have a microphone and a camera. People lost their bloody marbles. They acted like the end of the world happened. The apocalypse was coming. And what happened? Xbox is still not recovered at all 12 years later. And Nintendo did the exact same thing. But this time the game prices went up. And it's kind of getting swept under the rug. I've seen so many people stick up for the $80 price thing. Like, I'm putting my foot down. I did for 70. I'm putting my foot down again. The $80 thing, people can't let it slide, right? I live in the UK, obviously. And like, let me tell you, like, video game prices during the 7th generation were roughly around £37, right? Do you know how much they are now? 70. We're paying basically double. And like, that was across 2 generations, and it like I was basically the only person in the UK online saying, hey, this is ridiculous. Nobody was reporting about this, and it really annoyed me. And like, Microsoft, what they did in 2013, no one's got over it. Nintendo's getting a pass, and we've seen it live. I'm seeing journalists talk about how Mario Kart is worth $80. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but this past week I've been posting about Forza Horizon 5 and how it's a big open world racing game with dynamic weather, how it changes the racing conditions of the track. Basically, Mario Kart World is Forza Horizon, but but they're trying to justify its price because it's open world and it has a lot of content, and they're saying that they're going to have a variable pricing. No, they're not. No,
variable pricing. I was literally just looking it up. I had sent it to me. I said, that is, shout out to one of your co-hosts. My God, what is her name on Fridays? Oh my God, Umbra. What is your I can't remember her name. Holly. Holly actually put out a tweet, which was awesome, saying that what you just said, Jamie, is a slippery slope. So on a Tuesday, they could be like, yeah, this is a $90 game. On a Thursday, it could be $70. Like, I look, this industry, I thought, gentlemen, that the industry was already walking a razor's edge, Jamie, because of $70 pricing and consoles that are $700 and $800 with peripherals. This Nintendo push, on top of tariffs, which could take a $449 console, which, by the way, folks, if you didn't know, was over $100 cheaper in Japan, which is why the Japan version of the Nintendo Switch 2 is region locked, like the old school Nintendo stuff. That means that if you buy a Japanese one, you're going to have to import the games. And obviously, people would go and import it because you could play for cheaper. The Switch One, I import games all the time, mostly shooters, most of them shmups, I should say. And I love shoot 'em ups, and I buy a lot of them, and they're imported, and they work on my Switch just fine. That's been changed for the Switch 2 because the Switch 2 in Japan is over $100 cheaper, which this is. I don't know what's going to happen here, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is off topic. This is an Xbox podcast, but this is ultimately, I think, and I said it on Friday, is going to make Game Pass look like the breadwinner, Jamie.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, really think about this. We live in a world where we have this service called Game Pass. You pay X amount of dollars, pounds, whatever you want to call it, per month, and you have access to a huge catalog of games. And every week, we have podcasts by people that they spend their entire show bashing Game Pass, saying that there's no value. And yet these same people have been saying for years, no, $70 games is fine because they're worth it, right? These pay pigs are the reason why prices are going to go up to 80. And do you know what's going to happen? They're going to go up to 90 and then 100. Because guess what? If you live in Australia, rather than having to deal with house-sized spiders every single day, you're dealing with $120 games. Right in the UK,
can you imagine having to deal with Jumanji spiders and high prices like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be terrified. I'd be dead by now. But look, we started this conversation with how like Nintendo gets a pass for something Nintendo's do. Sorry, for something Microsoft did, and they are right. A console with DRM, a microphone on the console. There's a camera, albeit that's optional. You know the sticks aren't Hall effect. And by the way, I've been telling Microsoft and Sony put bloody Hall effect sticks in your controller. And it costs them like 1 penny more to put them in. But like it's ridiculous. And I'm seeing actual journalists with like hundreds of thousands of followers trying to push that the video game prices going up is okay.
It's never okay. It's just not.
And I've been saying this for like 2 years now. I think the prices going up to $70 has hurt the game industry. More and more people are waiting for sales, as they should. And there's no reason to buy a game day one. There never is, right? And if the prices do go up to 80 and people let it slide, I 100% think in the next 18 months there's going to be a crash. People are going to stop buying AAA games day one. Investors and studio heads are going to look at that and start shutting down studios because they didn't make the revenue they wanted in the first month of the sale coming out. And we're going to be basically in a slump for maybe 2 to 3 years before developers find out that they shouldn't be spending $300 billion on each game, even though they don't look like they cost that much. Honestly, I'm kind of talking over myself a minute because I'm annoyed. It's going to get people are going to let it slide. And I will say this, in the past, people have actually spoke with their wallets because the 3DS launched at an egregious price. And then Nintendo found out quick when no one was pre-ordering the system. So they basically slashed that thing in half. And what do you know? 3DS became bloody popular. So like, all I hope is that people literally vote with their wallets. This $80 game thing it's stupid, right? It's absolutely stupid. People are complaining about the price of eggs on Twitter every single day. People complain about everything. But this $80 game thing, it's enough. It's just too much. I've had enough because the price of everything has gone up. We talk about $700 consoles, even though we've never talked about $700 consoles until PlayStation 5 Pro came out. We just magically talk about $700 all of a sudden. You know, and by the way, I'm talking like this. I don't actually think the Switch 2 is an overly priced console. In the UK, it's
no. I think it's fair for the pricing of what it is. Listen, consoles are getting more expensive. This is not an argument. I know that a lot of us thought $399. You know, Nintendo was going to take one for the team. They don't take one for anybody. But I agree right there with you. Console price not a problem, and I mean that without tariffs. I'm not saying $750 for a freaking Nintendo Switch 2 is okay. It is not. But if it turns out that they don't raise the price and it's $500 with Mario Kart, I'm gonna buy the console. The games, and I said this the other day, what it's going to do for me as a consumer is I buy a lot of Switch games. That is going to be cut down to a 10th. Like I'm going to probably buy 2, 3, maybe 4 Switch games, and they're going to have to be mainstays. It's not going to be like I'm going to go out and buy Mario Tennis, which I have, and I gladly went out and bought it for $60. For $80, I don't play that game enough to justify that. And the problem with Nintendo, gentlemen, and we all talked about this already, they don't have sales. Their games do not go on sale.
That's the biggest problem for me outside of the ridiculous raising of the price. And this, okay. The problem I have with Nintendo on this is twofold. And I get the business, but people, it's business. I don't care. I'm looking at this from a consumer standpoint. I'm never going to be arguing from a business standpoint when it comes to this. And I hate when people do that because it's like, what does that matter to me? I don't get any of that. Right. Now, if I was getting some of the money, I'd be like, listen, folks, you need to get with the times business. I'm not getting a dime. Maybe Epic when I praise Unreal, but other than that, But my thing is this: it's twofold, because on top of the raised prices and setting that incentivizing higher prices in cost for gaming that we're going to have to pay, because you best believe Sony and Microsoft eventually might have to, capitulate to that with the pricing that the prices for the games they make. That's the bigger problem. And that was nasty, by the way, that just happened to you on that screen. Did he? It wasn't right.
Yeah, he did a Matrix kind of a thing to me. I was hiding. He got me. So
I'm like, what did he just do to you? Anyway, the man did a ballerina spin midair and shot you with a sniper rifle. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got distracted briefly. I don't play enough Call of Duty, so I'm a lot of this stuff I'm seeing. It's like, what? Anyway, so on top of that is now also, because you're going to incentivize Sony. Sony's going to take hold and be like, yeah, we've been waiting to do this. GTA is likely going to be $100 game. They've been talking about that for so long. I expect it. We all expect it. And now this right here almost guarantees it. Yeah. And think about this. They're paying many more, hundreds of millions more to make the games they make on a Sony or Xbox versus Nintendo. This is what makes Nintendo's more egregious, because Mario Kart World, as nice as it looks, as great and fun as it's probably going to be, probably cost them $70 million or something to make. If that.
Under $100 million. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of those assets, even though it looks
right,
great,
they're reused, right?
They're probably old assets, bro.
And exactly. And I listen, I'm not against, because all games do that, all game makers do that, whatever. But my thing is, you all it don't take you all that much to make the game. Why is your game $80 or plus tax, which is basically going to be $90 versus, let's say the Xbox title, like or a major AAA from Sony. Like, why are they priced higher than the games that cost 2 to 3 times more than what you're costing to make this game? Because you're not passing on the cost to us to supplement that. No, you're robbing us for more, essentially. So I want to. This the problem with me. For me is like, how do you explain that, or how do you make up for that? Because I don't, like you said, Boom, I don't think I'll be playing enough of the games that they make to be like, yeah, that justified it. No, it won't. I don't think I barely think $70 is justified. You see me complain about that all the time. So 80 and more, yeah, that's a problem. And people, we have to start. And I'm say this last part, and I'll shut up. But we have to vote with our wallet, y'all. Yeah. Like, the problem with this is that the reason why Nintendo can afford not to put their games on sale, to your point, Boom, and they don't go on sale. You're right. It's typically they'll wait for a long time, or maybe they'll do a bundle sale or something. But they don't depreciate, right? And the reason why is because Nintendo fans, they treat it like, oh, it's the holy grail. Look how much they sell, like title wise. They sell 30. I think Animal Crossing sold like a ridiculous 38 million copies or something like that.
It's more than 40 now. I think. Yeah.
They sell insane amounts. You would think Metroid would sell like that, but it doesn't. Unfortunately, it's weird. But games like Animal Crossing, games like, you know what I mean, Mario World, Super Mario Kart 8, whatever it was called, Mario Kart 8, that sold like ridiculous numbers, right? I know they bundled it too, but I'm just saying, like, the reason why they can get away with that is because people don't vote with their wallets and tell them, nope, that's not acceptable. No, Nintendo
are you
fans
ready
have
for
told
this,
them the
Umbra?
opposite. They'll buy cardboard, in fact, from them.
Yeah, they will. As of December 31st of last year, mind you, we are in month 4 of 2025. Nearly 48 million copies of Animal Crossing have sold.
How many?
48 million.
You know, it's actually worse than
That's ridiculous.
It's worse than what people are talking about when it comes to Nintendo. Because I'm going to mention a little factoid, which you've probably not seen anyone talk about in your feed, and your jaw might hit the floor. Nintendo raised the price of their games in 2023 to $70. So they're doing it again in 2 years.
Wow. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah. So Tears of the Kingdom was their first $70 game.
$70.
They raised the price of their own games in the same generation, and they justified the price increase because, of the content you're getting. They're going to do the same thing over and over and over again. And people are letting it slide. And do you know what's even... It gets worse. It's the Don Matrick thing. It gets even worse, right? The demo, the tech demo for the Switch 2
$10.
It's $10.
Oh, that right there was offensive.
Yeah. And bear in mind, Sony, as egregious as Sony is, they put Astrobot or whatever, Astro's Playroom, that's free.
Yeah,
right?
And an actual game.
Yeah,
that game was amazing, by the way. I know it was a tech demo, but it was an actual game that I loved every second of it.
Yeah, and like the upgrades, and people know I talk about upgrades all the time on Twitter, but like they're charging multiple different prices for their upgrades. So if it's a graphical increase, it's $10. But if there's more content involved, such as an extra level or an extra character, it's $20. And it's getting people are letting it slide by. You have these Nintendo content creators out there defending it, and it's pay pig behavior. And
really
and bear in mind, as someone that lives in the UK, £70 games, that's like $87. If the prices go up again, I'm gonna blast off, man.
Like Team Rocket,
also
co-owned by Nintendo with Pokemon, by the way.
Yeah, again, great segue. Look, again, folks, this is one of those conversations that we don't plan for. Stuff is happening live on the air. I think it was great to respond to it. I love everyone's opinion. The chat has been going back and forth with one another. I know some people in the chat wants to get back to Xbox talk. We're gonna get to South to Midnight. That is the headliner topic of today's show, and we're gonna celebrate in a big way because again, the game is phenomenal. It is made by Compulsion Games, a AA studio. I said this in my video review that they punched way above their weight with this. This game is phenomenal. Is it perfect? It is not. I make no mistakes for giving it or no excuses for giving it a 9. It is a 9 out of 10. Now, other people have given it 6s. I disagree 1,000%. Some people have given it 8.5. That's their opinion. I gave it an additional 5%, 5 points more. I did point out some of the things that needed work. Some of the jumping, some of the platforming, not great. The combat, once you learn it, is really good, but it is very limited. And of course, that was also one of the half points that came off. But we're going to get back to it, folks. But before we do, let me just catch up on Super Chats here. We have Do You K Now, the Broke Boy Insider, drops not one, but two $5 Super Chats. And Will goes on to say, so Switch 2 pre-orders are delayed in the U.S. due to tariffs. But on Best Buy and other sites, you can still pre-order the games. Why aren't they affected? That's crazy. I'm not pre-ordering a single thing. I will, again, if the console is $500, I will buy the console for me and my nephew, and I will play the F out of Mario Kart. What I'm going to wait to see if they do, and I've said this before, is that occasionally they offer these vouchers through the Nintendo eShop. And the vouchers used to be $100. And what it would do is would get you 2 games. So at the regular $60 price, $65.03 or $65.08 with tax, you would get literally 2 games digitally for the $100. Well, what I did is I got Tears of the Kingdom, which was a $76.43 with tax game. I got it for $50 because I got 2 games. I bought the $100. The $100 certificate that they offer, a voucher they call it. If they do offer digital games from the vouchers to, like, let's say for instance they raised to 120. I'd love it to be 100, but let's say it's 110 or 120. You're paying $60 a game. Then I will buy my games using those digital vouchers. I will not buy a physical game ever again, and I will not buy a game digitally for $80 because that's if we bend the knee for that, then we're asking for trouble. And like I said, if you think it stops here, folks, Nintendo kicked the door off the hinges. They didn't open the door; they literally kicked it off. I can guarantee you that Grand Theft Auto, and has been talked about the last couple of days, is going to be $100 game. It's going to release.
2K is over there like, they want a Birdman hand rub right now.
Yeah, he's like this.
Yeah, just like that. Like,
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So his second $5 super chat, he says, have to admire the tenacity of PlayStation fanboys. Knew it would happen. South of Midnight's full release 30 minutes ago. Already posting Steam player account saying that it's a flop. I mean, well, that's a boring life. I think a lot of these PlayStation enthusiasts, and I'm being very generous when I say enthusiasts and not fanboys and girls, forgot what it is to enjoy gaming. Like, honestly, I don't know why everything has to be a console war rhetoric conversation. It's boring. I think people need to grow up, and just, it is what it is. But again, this will be a whole different conversation once South of Midnight releases on PlayStation, whenever that may be. When that happens, you're going to hear all these journalists that gave it a 6 and be like, oh my God, PlayStation Pro advancements, it's a 10. We'll see what happens. But you know what? Let's use that. Actually, one more. We have a channel member chat here from Mac2254. He says, I don't know if you guys have talked about this already, but Canada's pre-orders have been delayed as well. We did know that, and thank you, Mac. Super appreciate that. I actually am surprised that Mag didn't get back to me on that, because again, if it's delayed, that means that they're expecting some trouble as well. And already it's over $1,000 there, which is ridiculous. But I'm going to go first here to Infinite Umbra. Umbra, I know that you have a lot to say. So, of course, some of the topics that we were originally going to get to, we'll talk about Marathon at some point, probably by the end of the week, because I still have a lot to say. But we're already at the 49-minute mark, and that's because, this is a conversational podcast, and sometimes we just go off the rails, and what happened today was worthy of a conversation. But I want to hear your thoughts, because, again, you said you have over 100 hours playing this game. And this is not surprising. This is very much an Umbra and Boom kind of a game. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things to find. Like, for me personally, I am missing about 100 floofs for that 100-point achievement. I have 86 of the 108, I think it is, readables, they call them. They're like, things you could find in the world. So I'm a little short on that. I'm missing, I think, 1 or 2 of the tins that that you pop off, and that's usually 5 of the floofs underneath that. Yeah. I need 1 or 2. So I'm gonna get the 1,000. But I went back to playing Call of Duty. I know you got 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements after 100 hours. I want to get your hot takes, because there has been a lot of talk in this game. This game, make no mistake, folks, is a masterclass release. It absolutely is, in every form or fashion. Yes, it does have some issues. It's not perfect. No one ever suggested that it was. I don't think it has to be. Again, for me, I wish the platform would have been, in some instances, a little bit better. And the combat, even though, and it's not passable, the combat is good. Combat's just not great. And, listen, it is what it is. Let's get your thoughts on, bro.
You hit it right on the head. And the thing that bothers me is that people keep focusing only on combat. And I'm like, so even before I got a chance to get my hands on it, it was like, oh, the combat is, you hear certain people, I'm Boom, in your honor and respect of your show, I'm gonna name them, but they were like, oh, the combat is this and that. It wasn't 100 hours though, by the way. P-Road it was 100 hours. Boom, you probably saw me talking about for Assassin's Creed. This
okay, maybe that's why I got it wrong. Okay,
yeah, no, for this, to clarify, I dozed off a few times because from work, so I was tired playing it, so I dozed off until the game counter was still going. And it wasn't because of the game, because the game had me locked in. Just to clarify, because people are like, you went to sleep on it, so you must not. No, I was tired. Trust me. But I dozed off a few times and I played through it technically twice. So I beat it technically twice because I played through it, and then after I got so far in, I went back and replayed everything again to collect everything. So I played through each mission twice, some 3 times because of chapter 11. Oh boy, chapter 11 had me, man. That got me good.
And you know what's interesting?
yeah.
I don't mean to interject. First of all, shout out to Paris Lily in the chat.
What's
He
up,
says,
Paris?
Paris. He said, what does he say here? It's me. It's me. Same.
Oh no, I didn't even see that. No, it's not you, Paris. No, it's not you, brother. It's not you. Matter of fact, Paris, why don't you jump in? Because
we'll get Paris.
Paris only jumps in when people start talking stuff. Then Paris show up like, "What you say about me?"
He said he's always lurking, which is not surprising. I actually thought he was, he's going to be getting hands on with the Switch too.
Yeah,
I thought that's what he might be doing. But so, Paris, I'm going to send you a link if you want to jump in, give us your thoughts. But interestingly enough,
I love the Paris on it, but I didn't actually see his review on it. I didn't hear his thoughts on it.
I saw the video review that he did with Danny and Rihanna in some instances was like had a hard time getting it out. Like some of the stuff hit her like super deep, because obviously she's a mom now, and there were some stories here that are like, look, I'm going to say this, and I want to I'm going to send the link to Paris, get him in here for a few if he has the time. But I want to hand the mics off, of course, back to Umbra, and then get Jamie's point of view. But I do want to say this: you had a emotional response for a specific chapter. Now, again, I don't name names for the a-holes. And I also don't name names of other content creators that I've personally spoken to on a situation like this, simply because it's private. And I spoke to several content creators, and that we were all talking like men, having these emotional responses about specific chapters. See, for me, because of my relationship, not with my brother, Neo Mental, my blood brother, chapter 2 hit me like in a way where just talking about it now, like I get that kind of like lump in my throat kind of a situation. And I don't mind being transparent. And that hit me super hard. It hit me hard at the event, which I kind of had to hold it back. And it hit me hard when I was talking about it during the review. Like I had to really, I'm solo, so I gotta man up, if you will, and not cry on camera. But for a couple of other content creators, like specifically the 12th chapter hit one of I consider him to be a brother, the extension of my family, like super, like to the point of tears.
Yeah.
And there was another one that talked about chapter 7. So, I mean, it's a few in here, man, that hits you super hard. Please, by all means, continue.
It's something to be said. He's looking for the link. Boom.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him. Get him over there right now. Yeah,
it's something to be said, and I did. Black John. Yeah, I got to man it up. I had a thug tear or two. Listen, chapter 11 that got me the hardest, but other chapters did get me emotional. But 11, I'm not even ashamed to say it. I'm a grown man. I shed tears for chapter 11. Dude, chapter 11 hits home so much for.
Yep.
I can't say much because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I want you to fully play this. Please do not look it up. Do not have anybody talk to you about it. Don't even look at the lore, because it, as I was just telling brother in the chat, Broke Boy Inside, Broke Boy Lewis, because the lore thing will kind of give you the end of the chapter stupidly. I don't know why they did that, but they need to patch that out. It will show you once you meet the character of that level, whatever.
Yep.
It'll show you like, oh, it's like, why did you put that in here at this point? When it played, I had to stop it. And like, oh, I already knew, because I put 2 and 2 together, but it's like, why would you put that?
You didn't want to know, is what basically, yeah.
To get away from that though, chapter 11 had me shedding grown man tears, and it's such a powerful throughout the whole. Okay, let me try to organize my thoughts, because I got so much running through my head at once. Let me say it in order, I guess I can put it. People made a lot of complaints about the combat. The combat is good, and I made the mention on the Infinite podcast this past week where I said listen, the combat isn't like setting a new standard. It's not, right? It's not setting any new standard. The traversal is not setting a new standard. Or the the platforming is not like, oh man, they did this great cool new thing. Like, no, it's the standard fare that you'll get from a standard platformer, and that is not a bad thing. That's the problem I have with some of the reviewers, where they put such an emphasis on the combat and traversals. Like, what did you need them to do here? Because again, I made this statement before on here, and I'll make it again. I do not need a game to set a new standard for me to like it or enjoy it. I think that's a ridiculous ask, because there's nothing new under the sun, and especially for gaming, it's increasingly hard to have something brand new that just, oh man, he just did this. They just basically created sliced bread. I don't need that. Give me a competent game where it has competent combat, competent traversal, etc., etc. Now, it's not flawless what they did in here. There are some moments where, until you get the double dash, if you will, because you get that, and that's not a spoiler. You should expect that in any platformer type game.
Yeah, you get that you get that super early though.
You can, as long as you get those floofs, which is the game's currency for abilities, by the way, for those who are wondering what's a floof. And but the thing is like, until you get that, some of the dash mechanics felt a little off to me at times. I felt like I should have dodged that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When you get the double dash, it solves that problem immediately. So I think that's part of the design, that it was that way, but maybe they might need to tweak it a bit. But combat is not the main thing. The story, the characters, the lore, and the music. And I hate to sound like some type of artsy fartsy guy, but no, a lot of times we ignore these things because we're like, okay, we're playing through this or whatever, we're experiencing this, and we don't take hold to the OST. Some people do, but a lot of people don't really pay attention to it. Even in movies, we don't tend to kind of pay attention to that, but it carries so much more weight when you have a proper OST in a scene, right? And you don't notice it until it's not there. This game complements this game so much in those moments, because each boss encounter that you will come across has a specifically crafted song for that boss, and it is so well done. I was sitting there humming the tunes and singing it myself, especially chapter 11's. I was sitting here and it had man tears coming down my eyes singing it with them at the end of that chapter. I'm not joking with you. I sound like a cornball saying it now, but when you play it, you will see what I mean.
This game hits you in the feel. Look, I said this, and I said it on Friday. I made a video out of it. I had a bit of a rant. I don't like to rant because I find it to be not the content my audience wants to hear, right? And again, I'm entitled to my opinion, but I usually keep it to myself. I try to do a good job of, separating, getting emotionally involved in a conversation and having a podcast. I'm here to tell you right now that, and I mean this, if you consider yourself to be a human, an actual human being, and you are not moved by any of these stories, then I don't know if you actually are. Because I'm not saying that you should care about everyone else's culture or hardships, but there are certain times, there are certain things that are done in games, in film, in books, in writing, that when you read it, see it, and be a part of it, if it's not hitting you, I maybe you're just a completely,
it might have turned a bit cold, right? And like this, I want to lay this part out before I let Jamie and Paris go. But just to say, I was talking to Lucius again on this one too, and he was like, what it got him is that this should connect with people just on a human level. And I agree with him there, because even though a lot of it ties directly to my lineage, right? It does. And they don't they don't like dance around it, which I like. They go straight forward saying, hey, this is that. I'm not going to speak on the specifics. So I want you all to experience that. But on a human level, you should be able to connect with what's going on in this game. You know what I mean? It's not just, it's just about black people or nothing, anything like that. There are instances of white characters too, but just to be fair.
Yeah.
But there are moments, specifically chapter 11, which is more tuned to my, lineage. But on a human level, you should be able to receive that, I would say, and I agree with Lucius on that. You really should. And I just want to compliment Compulsion on properly telling that story and keeping a narrative wound even beyond that still extends while connecting all these different parts of the lore. And I was talking, just to throw this last part, I was talking to Nerds and Other Legends earlier before I jumped in, and he was telling me he had bought a book and because of the lore in this, and he wanted to learn more. So like when you have something, a media that really pulls you in to where you want to learn more about the mythology, that tells me that they did a good job, right? And I noticed that for other games I've been in, we're always learning about the Greek mythology, Rome, all these other things, Norse mythology, right? We always learning about those different mythologies in media. It's often always put out there. You don't really get a lot, at least in the Southern culture, lore, stuff like that. So
there are not many games like this, dude.
Not at all. I can't think of any game that does anything like this.
There was a voodoo game that was like on the OG Xbox. It was like
Voodoo Vince.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's, I mean, he's a voodoo doll, right? So that's because of Crouton. That's the closest thing you got to get. This is why when people say, "Oh, the combat is bad," look at everything else that this game did, and more specifically, the song leading up to the boss fight or during the boss fight. I've never played anything like that.
It's really dope, and they change, right? So it's kind of laid back, you'll hear little. I'm not gonna say it because I want people to experience, but you know what I mean. When and then when you get into it, it's dramatic. I rip my, I'm not going to go into it, but you get it. I'm not going to do it now, but it really, in each moment, it excels in intensity to when you get to the boss fight. Then it's real intense, the beat or music, right? It's really, really well done. I cannot compliment it any more than what I'm doing. I know some people might be thinking, "Oh, he's really just glazing," as they like to say.
No.
This game deserves the glazing, damn it.
Yeah,
I want to glaze away. I'm sorry, let me stop.
No, that's all right.
The game is just well done in the aspect. If I had to rate it for score wise, 8.5 for me out of 10. It's some things that they can definitely improve on. But they did a lot right, and I think people getting hung up on combat or whatever, I think that they're just missing the point. This game is more of an experience than anything else, and that's all my piece on it.
No. First of all, Jamie, we'll come to you in a hot second. First of all, Paris Lily, brother, thank you so much for popping in. I know you're always lurking, you're always listening. We definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. I know that you got the Nintendo Switch thing happening. That is pretty awesome because I know Danny's been posting a lot of a video with him with his hands on, which is awesome. Let's get your thoughts on the launch day. Here it is. It's out for everyone. The haters are gonna hate. That's what they are. And they're gonna be disingenuous and not suggesting that's any of us here or anybody in the chat. It just is what it is with social media. Paris, let's get your thoughts on South of Midnight.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate you having me up. And like someone said in the chat earlier, it's like Candyman. You say my name 3 times, I appear. But to answer the Switch 2 thing really quick, I'm going to go hands-on. They're basically having a similar event to what they did in New York out here in Los Angeles this week. Later this week, I'll go to that, and pretty much the same thing everyone did in New York. I'll get hands-on with all the games and stuff like that. So looking forward to that, and I appreciate Nintendo inviting me to be able to check it out. And we can circle back to Switch and prices if you want after South of Midnight, but I'll just say this, and obviously, Umbra, I was joking when I heard what you were talking about, because I have been critical of the combat just throughout the 2 reviews that I did. But at the same time, the music, the art, the love and care that they put into the dialect, just the ambiance, just everything else about this game. It's a AA game where you are correct that Compulsion literally punched above their weight in those aspects to damn near give you a AAA experience. Like, honestly, the way they handled the music and sound in this game kind of sets a high bar for games moving forward, that you need to kind of reach this when you're doing this type of genre, right? Because that's just how well it was done. my issue with the combat and the traversal is what you do in chapter 1 is essentially what you do in chapter 14. There's really not any diversity to it. Even though, yes, there is a skill tree there, you really don't get any true advantage of leveling up that skill tree until, honestly, I know you've talked about chapter 11 a lot, which was amazing, till really you get past that point, till you're at the end of the game. And I'd even said in one of my reviews, I feel like a chapter's missing. Like there's a character I won't spoil that I kept waiting to get their story on, and we never got it. And I'm like, where'd this go? And I'm saying this not to be negative, because I love the game. I highly suggest everyone plays the game. It's an experience that you want to have. You were already talking before about, like, there's the lore tab, and there's people that don't. I'm from the South, so people that don't know the South, you're being educated on the legends and the folklore of the South. That lore tab is there for a reason, so that you can learn more and be more educated about it, which is fantastic. I just think if they could have had a little more diversity to the gameplay, I know you gave it a 9 out of 10. Ultimately, I said 7.5, which is not means it's a good game. It's
doesn't mean it's a terrible game. Yeah.
I just think it could have achieved a little more if the gameplay was a little more diverse and there was a little more challenge to it. Because like I said, once you honestly probably get past chapter 3, you have the rhythm of how it works, so you're kind of rinse and repeating at that point. And I'm not trying to say it as a negative. I'm trying to say it as you need to have that expectation when you go in to go play the game. Right.
Yeah.
I keep going back to the music. There is one particular boss, like the bosses have like theme music, right? There's one theme music that I've been humming ever since. That's how good it is. I literally, because I captured all my gameplay, I purposely went back and just rewatched that whole section just so I could hear the music, because that's how good it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I absolutely play South of Midnight. I mean, obviously it's on Game Pass today. If you do want to go purchase it, I believe it's $40. So,
$40,
so they're not beating you over the head with price or anything. It is definitely worth the price of admission. You will be happy that you played it. It's about a solid 12 to 14 hour experience to go play and go enjoy it. And I will tangent off of this, since I know people love to clip your stuff. They can clip this. I jokingly said last week with the Switch, when the prices and all that came out, I just said at these prices, what did I say? I said at these prices, I'm just saying. And then I just had the Game Pass image, right? And I immediately muted the thread because I know the comments were chaos, and I saw it kind of went viral a little bit. So I'm sure there's people saying all kind of crazy stuff. I said that jokingly last week. I 100% mean it today.
You absolutely you have to, because it is the again, I know I don't sell Game Pass. I don't get a dime for it. But I also, like you, Paris, we run a household, we're married, we have responsibilities, right? You have children, I don't, but the responsibilities still don't change. And what we have to do is we have to be good consumers. And you should put yourself first every time, not half the time, not 3/4 of the time. No, you need to put yourself front and center. And what happened today with the whole Don Matrick, thing from the Xbox 360, Bowser kind of made a knucklehead thing to say. And again, is it gonna hurt them like it hurt the Xbox? I don't know, but
it won't.
Can I address your chat super quick? Just
sure.
Because obviously I come in, people get all fussy when I come in here, but no, my Indiana Jones thing, which I actually gave the same exact score as South of Midnight, is for the same exact reason I gave South of Midnight 7.5. Sure, they did everything fantastic. I didn't like the gameplay. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I thought the AI was really dumb, but clearly the voice acting, everything, it was like an Indiana Jones adventure, probably the third best Indiana Jones adventure out of everything, if you take the movies and all that into account. You guys got to get over these. I hate review score numbers. I hate that I even had to give it one for any game. It's like, listen to what people are saying versus a number. People put way too much stock in a number versus actually listening to what the reviewer is saying, because it's their opinion at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think that's a
You know
weird
what it is,
thing.
Paris? You know what
Yeah.
it is, too? It's not that, and the thing is, I know that you're a fair guy, and I think all of you all should know that, too. But the thing of it is that 7 has been demonized so bad by, and I'm going to say it, our Hood brothers, just going to be real. They have, I've seen them online doing it all the time for years, and then Xbox guys took a hold of it, too. A 7 has been demonized. Basically, a 7 is a 6 or lower in people's eyes. So when you hear you say 7.5, yeah, when they hear you say that, they think, oh, you're saying it's bad. Even if the connotation is it's a good or a bit above good game, that's what they're hearing. So like 9s and such have been like the thing to get, 9s and 10s. That's what it really is. It's not even your fault. It's just literally that the fact that 7 has been
Paris.
loosened.
Can you give me a mod?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'll do that right now.
That's really what it comes down to. And I'll say this too. I am a bit more forgiving when it comes to review scores. I've noticed that talking with Danny, as you know, Boom. Danny is much more critical than me. I'm much more forgiving on how I talk about things at games. So my 8.5 may not be that for you all in the chat, even though you're hearing that from me. Yeah. But I still believe, and I hold true that I don't think
Paris.
And I'll give you this, Paris. What he is right on is that the combat and the parts where he says where it really does pick up is toward the end. He's not wrong. It's true. How, as far as like what you can really do
they're putting like 8 or 9 enemies in that little box.
That too. But I'll also say this too. Put the game on the hardest difficulty, because you mentioned difficulty, Paris. I would say put it on its hardest difficulty. I played it on its hardest difficulty all the way through, and I played through it twice, and that made it much more challenging and made the combat feel like it should, in my opinion. Although normal is decent too, I would say you're going to get your workout on the hardest difficulty with so many enemies coming at you. You're going to have to balance out how you do what you do and everything like that. But in general, I would say like their enemy encounters could have been better worked out. I will say that if I'm going to be critical. I'm going to do that, by the way, when I have my roundtable discussion with brother K Asante, Everborn, myself, Lucius, and I believe Slow-Mo Backslap. So we're going to have that. And I'm going to give that too. But right now, I just want to just kind of sing its praises, because I notice it doesn't get enough of that from what I've been seeing. Most emphasis has been about the combat, and that's not on you, Paris, because I didn't see your talk on it. So
and I was just joking. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, but I've noticed a lot of people like, oh, the combat is bad, and like people literally been saying it's bad, and I don't think the combat is bad at all. I just think it's normal and it's basic. It's not super I guess detailed, or it could have been ironed out more to include whatever, right? But I think it's a decent combat system. It's just not great.
I'll say this, and I said this in my review, Paris, and we're gonna get Jamie in a second, and then we'll come back around to the Nintendo Switch thing, because that's not good. But the combat isn't broken. It just needs more variety, and that doesn't mean it's broken.
That's really it.
That's really what it comes down to. Yeah.
Yep.
So, Paris, listen, I don't know how much time you got. Let's get your hot take on the Nintendo situation, and we'll bring Jamie in and get his opinion on South to Midnight. What are your thoughts on this? I guess you can call it drama from Bowser, because that's crazy. I know. Basically, you know what? Let me because Ryan McCaffrey actually just tweeted about it. Ryan McCaffrey from IGN says, "I can't believe this is a real quote. LOL." And Okami13_, who's going to be a guest on one of the upcoming shows, amazing person on the socials, says Doug Bowser of Nintendo Switch 2 says this regarding its price. Some people may not be able to afford the Switch 2's price point. That's why we wanted to make other Switch platforms available. Meaning, like, if you can't get an Xbox One, we got a console for you. It's called the Xbox 360. Yikes! Not good, Paris.
Yeah, and I saw the same thing, and it is literally deja vu from 2013 with Xbox. That's why all the Don Metric, memes are starting to pop up over that. And it's here's my thing. If you just give me a little bit of room on this with the Switch stuff.
Yeah.
So I am not upset that it's $450. Forget the tariff stuff. Let's just look at it at face value right now, right? I'm not upset that they're charging for $450 for it, because when you look at from a spec standpoint, what it's doing, sure, I thought it would be $399, but $450 isn't crazy for that. So I'm like, okay, fine. it was the $80 for Mario Kart World that did it for me, because it sets a precedent. You guys have already talked about this. My immediate thought was, well, Grand Theft Auto 6 is $100.
Yes.
If they're doing this. And you can't tell me that both Xbox and PlayStation will not raise their prices to $80 for their big AAA games. Of course they will. They're doing the industry a favor by being the first ones to do it. So now you can excuse when you raise your prices on your games. That's what I don't like about it. I don't go with the argument of, well, in the 1990s, games were blah, 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 blah. I don't care. I think Legendary Drops put a tweet out yesterday, which encapsulated it perfectly. People care about the prices of things today and what they can afford. And I had even said it last week. I go, sure, prices are going up, but I don't see salaries going up to match it. I know that. I know everything right now is more expensive. So no, I'm not happy to see game prices go up, because what will happen, I think you guys already talked about this as well, is sure, a lot of us will still go buy Mario Kart World. But guess what? Maybe now we don't go buy Donkey Kong. Maybe we don't go buy Kirby. You know what I mean? The repercussions are going to be, you might still buy that $80 game, but then there's other games. Let's just take South of Midnight example. Damn, I can't afford to spend the other $40 to go get that. You know, now I'm not going to go buy that. You're going to be way more selective about the games that you purchase, because it's more expensive as a barrier to entry to get in. That's my thing with it. That's what I don't like. Again, I'm a family of 5 with 3 kids that all love the Switch. They're all going to want the Switch too. They're all going to want games on it. And sorry, people can think, oh, you get review codes and all that. I don't get it for everything. I tell you that. I buy games and systems just like everybody else does. Yep. So I'm very conscious about where I spend my money and how I spend my money. So no, it's not good. It's not good for the industry. I understand budget costs and people can all that. As a consumer, that is not my problem. My concern is value, and it always will be. That's why I brought the Game Pass thing. If anything, Game Pass probably thrives in an industry that's charging $80, $90, $100 per game, because now you're going to get more value and be able to play more games by subscribing to something like that. So I don't know. I've seen all kind of arguments towards it, but I do think the vast consensus is nobody's a fan of $80. Why would you be?
No, it'd be madness if you were, but
listen, that's why I blame some of our Who brothers still for. I remember them.
Well, they originally said they'll pay $100 for the next
I'm just going to let you know I'm going to ban someone in your chat, because it's like here, and I'm going to be vocal about this. Be respectful. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like anyone on this panel, but being a jerk in the chat, no, because no one's being a jerk to you. You don't tell children to go get a job if they want to go play a game. They are children.
They're kids.
Be an adult, please. So no, you can take a timeout.
No, he can do more than a timeout. If he's being disrespectful, just ban him. Look, I'm going to say this right now. People I give moderation powers to, if they ban you, don't come to me and be like, oh, boom, they banned me. I've been a fan of the show for X, Y, and Z. Look, here's the thing. When Lito Papa is here, he walks very silently and carries a very big ban stick. And I've had people banned before, and they try to reach out. Look, this is one of the best chats in the business. And I put my foot down on having a-holes in the chat. You can have an opinion, and it could be absolute polar opposite of mine, but you don't got to be a D about it. There's ways to do it. Voice your opinion and be like, you know what? We can agree to disagree. Let's walk away like gentlemen. But the minute you're a D in one of my mods, whether that be a panel member or someone like Lethal, or even now a panel, a modder in Paris, don't feel that you're going to come to me and I'm going to reverse it. If they felt you were being a jerk, then you're out. And if you give me the big FU and you thumb down the channel and you unsubscribe, you know what? That's fine. But do not come to this chat to be a D. That's unacceptable behavior. We're not going to stand for it. And Paris, if you have to ban someone, by all means, especially if someone's being a D, just ban them.
My thing is this, and I'm just going to keep it real for a second when it comes to this. So, like I joke around, I lurk a lot, and I like to come and interact with the community and talk about gaming, because again, I don't think I'm better than anybody, but there's a lot of other creators out there that will not do what I do. And you know why they won't? Because of people like that in the chat. Yep. Because it's not worth it. And then you think, oh, they're being elitist or this or that. No, they don't want people purposely just being a-holes constantly. Yeah. Yes. It's like people do this because they love to do it. They like to talk about gaming. Some people have grown to a point where obviously they get all these big opportunities and all that kind of stuff. I try to just like, hey, I give my perspective on stuff. I like coming in because, Boom, I'll see you guys talking about something and I might pop in the chat, go, that's not necessarily true. You know what I mean? Or, whatever, because it brings reasonable conversations into gaming. Not everything needs to be the stupid console war and fanboy nonsense and all that. We all love gaming. Obviously, we know, this channel is going to be a little more Xbox focused, and that's fine. But we love all games, and you want to talk about it at a reasonable level. And it was like when people are just purposely in the. Here's my thing: you will be in that chat being a troll, and then at Summer Game Fest, you'll kiss my ass.
Yes,
that's the exact person.
Oh, yeah.
That's my thing. That's my thing. You talk crazy online, but in person, you don't act this way. That's what annoys me more than anything. I am, and you know this, Boom, I am the same exact person talking to you now as I will be if we're in person.
Yes.
So I expect that same courtesy. And if you can't give it, I'll just ban you in the chat.
There you go.
Done.
Listen, you know what, Paris? We appreciate you being here, brother. And you obviously have the authority to do so. So if you're in the chat and you're lurking, someone's being a racist piece of shit or just an a-hole in general, feel free to ban them. Because you know what? I have 3 screens open, and a lot of the times I don't catch it. Like, I won't see it. When I do see it, I'll politely message somebody, because again, my thing here is I try to welcome in everybody. It's a lot of work, folks. I have multiple screens open, and I'm trying to run the show. I'm not just hanging out. Like, I'm literally producing the show and trying to make sure that it's a good show and to keep those a-holes out. And that's why I have modders like now Paris, and of course the best one in the business is Lethal Pop, who I just saw. So Lethal, thank you for all that you do, brother. But Paris, appreciate you jumping in. Obviously, we're going to get a chance to hang out this June at some point. I am going to be in LA from the 5th to the 9th. I'm looking forward to catching up with you, Danny, and Rihanna, having a great conversation like we did last year. That was a lot of fun. And again, appreciate you being here. If you want to hang out, by all means, hang out. But we got to bring Jamie Moran.
No, I'll drop out and be a mod.
No, please, by all means, brother. Thank you so much again.
All right, I'll catch y'all later.
All right, Paris, take care.
Yeah, man.
Jamie Moran, I'm apologies. I hate making you last, but you have a lot to say, and obviously we're gonna get to it. So obviously, feel free. Do not rush through your thoughts and your theories, because you just passed chapter 5. And you've been talking about it. You've been tweeting about it. And of course, like many things before for us, I don't know what it is about you and me. We attract the Arkham escapees. Like I have a particular bunch of guys that clip me on a daily basis, and I don't mention names because I'm not gonna give them the power. And I'm like, listen, you're watching the show, you hate watching the show. Please don't do that. Do something else more constructive with your life. But if you want to give me a view, that's awesome. And I don't understand it. I don't go out of my way to hurt anybody. I don't embarrass anybody. I don't know why I'm targeted, or more specifically, you're targeted, because all of your tweets for South of Midnight have been fun, and you're excited to play this amazing experience. Well, you know what? Let's get the negativity out of the way, and push it off to the side where it belongs. Let's get your thoughts. And so far, your expectations, have they been met by Compulsion Games' latest in South of Midnight?
Quickly, I have to mention, you mentioned the escapees thing. I post on Twitter like the games I'm currently playing, and especially with my health problems at the minute with the breathing and stuff, like it takes me a while to get through games.
Yes.
And I post clips of each chapter, whatever I'm playing at the time, and no matter what I post, people get angry. And like people say they don't like the game, they say it's mid. Like, look at any replies to my South of Midnight posts, right? Just people angry, right? Now, when I'm on social media and I see someone post a clip from a game I don't like, do you know what I do? I continue to scroll.
Hello, yes, that's what you're supposed to do.
And these people get actively angry, and sometimes it's the same people. just because I'm playing this game. I've been told that I've been paid off by Microsoft. I've been told I've been paid off by CD Projekt Red, From Software, BioWare. The BioWare thing I can kind of understand, but like everything I like or play, people say that I'm glazing it and whatever. Like the truth is, I don't play games I know I'm not going to like. But fortunately for me, I like a lot of genres. I happen to like Flight Simulator, even though it's the nichest game on the planet, but it's so damn cool. I like RTS games. I love first-person shooters. I love RPGs. I love action-adventure games. Fortunately for me, Xbox happens to have a lot of genres in the works. Anyway, back to South of Midnight. Like, as someone that plays a lot of open-world games that are, like, 60, 70, 80, 90 hours long, this is a refreshing game because I know I'm going to finish it by the end of the week. I'm on I just finished chapter 5 last night. I won't mention any story stuff, but I never really understood what this game was going for. Like, I was always interested in it, but without mentioning spoilers, something happens in chapter 3 that has something to do with a brother and a tree. And when the music kicks in, that's when the game clicked for me. I was like, okay, that's what this game's doing. It's build up to a certain part of a plot point, music kicks in, maybe an event happens or a boss battle, and that's what the game's about. And I love what the game's going for. And if people really do like that art style, there's a feature-length Predator movie coming out this June.
Dude, I can't wait.
Yeah,
yes.
it uses basically the same style, which I'm all in for. But yeah, the game looks fantastic. I always complain about there not being, not enough games that use different art styles on a bigger budget. This does that, which I love. But yeah, the combat, like Umber was saying, like I like the combat, but the dodging mechanic I could not stand. Like I talk about Elden Ring all the time. Dodging is 90% of what you do in that game. In South of Midnight, I couldn't stand it. But then I unlocked the double dodge last night. Game changer. So like the combat's way better now. The combat does. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just agreeing with you. Like, yep. Once that double dash, it clicked more for me at that point.
Yeah, complete game changer. And when it comes to the combat, the enemy variety, there isn't much, right? I think
there's 6 or 7 of the Haints. Yeah. That's one of my other, not a half point, but one of my criticisms is that they were very, very similar all the way towards the end of there were a couple of big brutes in there, but just not enough variety. That's again not a point issue, but definitely like a con, if you will.
You know what I think it is? Just to throw it out there really quick, I think it's the encounter type. So it's like the loop of how they did it.
Yeah,
not necessarily that it was even a repetition of that. It's maybe how they implemented it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the gameplay loop of this game is, and this isn't really a spoiler, like all the combat zones before you walk into them. So that's all kind of upfront. But like maybe it's because I played too many From Software games, but like enemies don't really telegraph their moves. So if you want to dodge like one of the base mobs, like thrash moves, you can't really see it coming until the very last second. Whereas in any other game, enemies do telegraph more. But maybe they could add something in a patch. Maybe there's like a flash of light or something. But like I'm enjoying the combat. I like the free flow movement when you grapple onto the things in the air. I think the movement in the game is fantastic. Yeah. But you do play this game for the story, and as someone that knows absolutely nothing about the Deep South, this game is beautiful. This game's beautiful. The story's interesting. The lore's interesting. I like the fact that, and this is one of those games where you can open up the lore and like just look back into things you've done and found. I love that in games because some people have the attention span of a walnut. That can occur to me sometimes. But I'm loving the game. It does have its issues, but then again, all games have issues. Even though I'm on chapter 6 now, I will say that if this game is like an 8.5 for me, it wouldn't surprise me. But like Paris was saying, like it is a AA game, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I think the AA gaming space is actually more interesting than AAA.
I agree because again, maybe it's the expectations, Jamie. Yeah. Like when someone says AAA game, you think $300 million behemoth, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, like when it comes to AA games, if people haven't played it yet or seen it, there's a game called Nobody Wants to Die. It's an Unreal Engine 5 cyberpunk noir detective game. and it's possibly the best looking game ever made. And that's a AA game. Like RoboCop Rogue City, I talk about that game every week. AA game.
AA game, phenomenal game. Yes.
And like I think AA games these are the games that we're going to be playing when the game crash happens. It'll happen. But like I'm loving the game, and like I was saying, as someone that plays lots of open world RPGs, I find it extremely refreshing to play a game that is going to be 12 to 14 hours long, because I feel like a lot of games inflate the game length just to try and justify a price. And this game doesn't do that. You know, I'm going through a chapter an hour or so, and it's fun. And when I find the base gameplay of a game fun, such as just running around, jumping from platform to platform, and there's a lot of platforming in this, to me, that's a winner. So far, I'm loving it.
I mean, listen, there's, again, no one's giving passes, because I saw that some people in the chat, you're just giving it a pass because you're an Xbot. No, I think everyone that has come onto the show today, including Paris, has given the pros and the cons. I think you can be critical of a game. I don't think you have to be overly critical of a game. And I think what we've seen specifically in games media, and I'm not trying to run down the aisle of Xbox tax, but I do think that games are reviewed differently. I think Xbox is harshly reviewed versus Nintendo given excuses for, like we're seeing right now with the Switch 2 and the game's pricing. And of course, well, the market leader being PlayStation. And I said this in my review, and I wholeheartedly stand on this hill. I'll die here. It's fine. If this would have been a PlayStation 5 exclusive release, this would have been in Jeff Keighley's Game of the Year talk. And I'm not pointing out Jeff that he did anything wrong. I'm saying that he would be tweeting about it. He would be posting about it. Oh my God, it's the greatest experience I've ever had. I can't believe it. And it would have been 20 posts. I'm just saying that this is not being, I'm not putting on the tinfoil mohawk. I'm literally just saying how the industry is viewed in my eyes. Am I wrong? Well, you know what, whether I am or not, it's my opinion. And I'm going to stay with it.
No, I'm going to say I agree with you. And maybe in time this will get that. We have to see what people say, because it's officially released on the 8th, right? Today.
Right.
Officially. So maybe people have to get that. But having reviewers that's reviewed it, again, the part that bothers me about it is the overemphasis on the complaints of combat. And I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve any of that, because what Paris said was factually correct in how, you know, it's not super diverse or whatever and things of that nature. He's not wrong. I think, though, that there is an overemphasis of complaints on that part.
Yeah. And
it's not really a problem. And that the combat and traversal are complementary to the story at hand. It's much like I used What Remains of Edith Finch as an example. There's no combat in that. Dude. Yeah, there's no combat in that. You walk around, you experience these stories, you get the emotional experience of what happened with that person and family, right? And people are like, oh, it's a masterpiece. Oh, love it. Okay, so then why are you so hard on this? And you're overemphasizing on the combat aspect versus everything else. That's the part I have a problem with. And that's no disrespect to Paris. I don't want anybody to take this and be like, yeah, see, so Paris was, that's not my point. I didn't even know Paris's thoughts until now. And I don't think 7.5 is a bad score, right?
Yeah, but I do agree with you that that 7 and 7.5 has been demonized. 100%.
Yeah, it has been demonized and has lost the weight that it used to have. I would just say this game was an 8.5 to me, and I don't see it being lower than that. So I can respect everybody's opinion on it. I just don't think it's lower than that to me. And for more reasons, because of the standard fare of combat and traversal, I expected that. I didn't expect it to be like, oh, you just did this, you know. And what if I had to really say, hey, what I want them to do in a sequel is Trey Bone said, IGN South of Midnight, too much fun, 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the too much water one. But from Zelda, you remember that? Too much water.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what? You should have been fired right then and there on the spot. Yeah. But I would say, though, like, I want everybody that's hearing this to have, if you haven't gotten into it, play it yourself. Don't. And I said
Yes,
this even
I agree.
I said this in Destin's chat. Destin tried to get his audience to turn on me. I'm going to call it out because he did. I like Destin, but he definitely. I was like, when he was talking about it, I said this before. You know how somebody can talk about something and they're saying it's a 7 out of 10. I'm giving it a good score, but everything you're saying sounds negative. It sounds like a 4 out of 10 when you talk. That's what he was doing in his live when he was talking about South of Midnight. And I was like, you sound real negative. Like, is the game that bad? I just didn't believe it at that point because I hadn't played it yet. And now that I have, I know that he was wrong, right? At least in my view on how he was talking about it. And even now, he's starting to get some positives about it that he played more into it. He's like, okay, now I'm liking it, right? So I think he was too quick to judge it that way. But it is what it is. But I'll just say this. The overemphasis on that is what bothered me. And I said, hey, don't take anybody else's thoughts on this. Play it yourself. And I said, I disagree with the 7 out of 10. I don't know, the way you're saying it sounds more negative than the 7 out of 10. You saying 7 out of 10, but it sounds like 4 out of 10. And he's like, well, Umber, 8 guys, Infinite Umber in the chat said 7 out of 10 is bad. I didn't say that. And you see how you try to take my words and twist it to get his audience to be like, oh, shut up, you Xbox fanboy. That's what he was trying to do. I know what he was trying to do. You don't fool me, Destin. Still got love for you, but I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
I will say that I don't like this. Again, this is why I don't do the names thing, because the last thing I want to do, people on a daily basis, ladies and gentlemen, try to besmirch or besmirch Double Barrel Gaming, more specifically my persona known as Mr. Boomstick, right? I have a great reputation as being a good guy. I love helping others. I like going out of my way to do as much as I can. There's no strings attached when I help you. When it comes to promoting other people's channels, I do it out of the love and respect of how hard content creation is. And even if you are a complete, now don't get me wrong, some people have gotten have gotten me where I'll make a name, I'll mention someone's name. I don't like to do it because I don't want to embarrass anybody. That's not the point of this show. You have a different opinion, that's fine. If sometimes, and again, it's like anybody, sometimes they press that button and you just snap. It doesn't happen very often to me because nothing anyone could say is going to make me be an a-hole. I like being a good guy. I like helping others. I like having fun. Hell, I do this 5 days a week, and then when I'm done doing the live streams, I am producing 8 to 10 videos. Do you know how much work that is when you have to make a thumbnail and you have to produce and cut and listen? I listen to each one of these podcasts 3 times when I'm cutting them down, putting them together so they sound like it's one thing. Folks, I'm not asking for sympathy or flowers. I'm saying that it's a lot of work, and I do that because I love the industry.
It's for the love of the game.
Gaming. There you go, brother.
And you do deserve your flowers, Boom. I've said it many times. I don't know how you do 5 days. I could not do it. I struggle with one show. I'm like, man, what am I going to talk about this week? Boom, you got any ideas? Because I don't.
I do a lot of reading.
I
read 20 to 30 articles per week, easily.
Yeah, and it cuts away from your game. Like I've noticed it. Like my game time, even though I'll still rack up some hours because I got the ROG or whatever, but you don't get a chance to play it as you use. And that's why I said I think some of the people who review this, they might have a bit of gaming fatigue because they have to play a game differently because of how they had to review things. So an influx of always having to review. How do you properly take the time to enjoy a game as you normally would?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's why, what you're doing here, it's a lot of work, like for real. And the thumbnails and everything else. When I do my thumbnails, I feel so proud. And like hardly anybody be like, oh, that was nice. I'm like, how dare you ignore all this hard work I put into this one thumbnail? And that's just one thumbnail. So I definitely get it.
Well, I definitely appreciate the kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. But I do want to catch up on Super Chats. We'll get everyone out of here. Again, this was I think one of my favorite shows of the year, only because we were allowed to have a conversation to open up the first 45 minutes where it was here, there, and everywhere. And that is when you get the most honest and earnest conversation. And we went from Silk Song being being announced at the Nintendo event to Doug Bowser saying, hey, if you can't afford a Switch 2, I got a console for you. It's called the Switch 1. That is just madness. And I'm going to cut it up real nice. I'm going to probably do it I do my best work in the midnight hour when Mrs. Boom is sleeping and I have the darkness surrounding me, because then I put the headphones on and I'm laser focused. I do my best writing after 12. That's why when I do really get a good topic, I like to write at night, because the whole house is nice and quiet. The whole world is asleep. I'm the only one up, and I love it. So I'm going to make this into videos. I'll post those videos probably tomorrow. But let me just catch up on Super Chats, and we'll get everyone out of here. Gamer by Choice, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 Super Chat. Gamer by Choice says, social media shows humanity is not common anymore. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Torino Johnson, generous friend of the program, drops a very generous and outstanding $5 Super Chat. Torino goes on to say, South of Midnight is fantastic. Get all the flutes because it improves combat, and follow the fox when you see them. They're hints. I didn't even know that. Holy shit. That's probably why I think I'm missing a floof.
What did he say again?
He calls them flutes.
No, what was he saying? You do what to do what?
You follow the fox.
Yeah, I found out that.
Yep.
I didn't even.
Sometimes it's not even a fox. Sometimes it'll be raccoons, or it'll be like a hog on one level.
Wow.
But yeah.
Now I'm mad. Now I got 24 hours in the game and I did not even know that. Thank you so much for that, brother. Lieutenant Hulk, kind sir, welcome, and of course, thank you very much for the very generous $2 Super Chat. It says Xbox should go crazy with Game Pass promotion for value. Yeah, dude, they have to look at this as a W. Like, they're gonna have to use this $80 game price to their advantage. If they don't, Jesus Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, could someone get a message to Phil? Hey, bring me in. I got a couple of $1 million ideas, and you know what? I'll come in. Give me rookie salary.
Tag me in, coach.
Yeah, tag me in, damn it. I have not only $1 million ideas. Sarah Bond, if you're listening, and I know she's not, but if she is, right, bring me in. Give me the boardroom for 40 minutes. I got 3 ideas. They're all $1 million ideas. Just give me 10%. We're good. We'll be good.
I feel like Xbox relies so much heavily on word of mouth versus their own actual.
The grassroots stuff is great.
Yeah,
that's what I do here for the channel. But it's sometimes you got to spend the money.
They got to spend the money, I think, and they don't do enough of that at times.
I agree. Right. So real quick, Day Reezy drops not one but $2 Super Chat. Day, nice to see you here, brother. Appreciate the generosity. He says Game Pass is looking better and better every day. Indeed it is. And his second $2 Super Chat says Thanos Paris collected that last Infinity Stone. Indeed he did. We have Aris_EMS has once again, ladies and gentlemen, has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Dude, that is unbelievable, because just the other day he donated 10. That is a lot of money, and Mrs. Boom and I are incredibly grateful for that kind of support. Aris, thank you so much for being here, brother, and thank you for the generosity. And of course, Torino Johnson drops an additional very generous $2 Super Chat. Torino says, I agree with Umber, 8.5, and I'm in chapter 13. Yeah, you're right at the end of it. And man, it's that last chapter is good, especially with the. Okay, I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
Yeah.
Please play the game, because it's not only an emotional story, it not only educates you about lore from the Deep South, but there's a game here, folks, and it's a really good one. It's a really good game that does, of course, like many games, have some issues that could be better in the sequel, could be addressed, especially like with the platforming, could be addressed with a patch.
Add more little ways. Like, it's one part, Boom. I can't say anything. I want to talk about this so much more.
I'm going to see if I can join you guys for the podcast.
I hope you can. I
want to pop in there, because
I want to get your talk on something, because I was told about one part that really resonated with you. I want to hear that story, that experience for you.
Yeah,
I also want to give mine on 11, because
I'll talk about it for 2. 2 hit me to the point where, like, I'm trying to just compose myself.
We can't even say it. We want to, but we can't go.
It's emotional. Like I get choked up talking about it, because I don't have a good relationship with my brother. And when I saw that part and I played it, wow, man, super powerful stuff. If you're a human, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you're an alien, maybe not. But or if you're just a dense piece of wood, maybe motion doesn't, fall onto you or whatever. Again, but listen, that's going to do it for us here. Again, folks, if you enjoyed today's conversation, I think there is a lot to enjoy with the hour and 45 minutes that we've been here. Thanks to Paris Lilly for popping in. Of course, we're going to check out his coverage of the Nintendo Switch 2, which he's going to do in a couple of days when it gets out of here in New York, which a lot of people say, Boom, why didn't you go? Life has just been super, super busy, folks. I don't have the time. I'm finding that it's very difficult to get my workouts, and I've gotten super serious with working out, cleaning, taking care of the house when Mrs. Boom is working, producing the content, playing games, which is ultimately what I really would love to do all the time, and I just don't have the time. But thank you so much for all the super chats, all the generous messages, and of course, all of the continued support through channel membership. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate it. Let's get to the outros. We'll start first with Jamie Moran. Now, Jamie, you have a show happening later today, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You and Logan Meyer, as you do every Tuesday, have a new episode of All Things Xbox. It is a place where not only do you talk about Mass Effect and you talk about Splinter Cell, you talk about the happenings in gaming. And today is going to be a good day to talk about, South of Midnight, and it released officially. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, subscribe to the Jamie Moran YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks, Boom, for having us on. It's always great doing this the show with you guys. And it was great to talk to Paris once again. So my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. I exclusively cover Xbox. Well, there's a lot of Mass Effect thrown in there as well. All Things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to cover everything in the Xbox space. Tonight, let's just say I'm going to pop off about the game prices in Deus Ex, because believe me when I say my blood is boiling. I'm not even kidding. Like, literally, I'm going to pop off. I'll probably get demonetized. But
I love it.
I love Deus Ex so much, and it's just been anyway. But yeah, that's 6 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel. It's going to be a fun time over there. There's no fanboy stuff over there. It's always a good time. I hope people come over. And my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, appreciate you being here as always, Jamie. Looking forward to tonight's show. Of course, when he pops off, him and Logan really go in. It's always always a fun conversation, but it's always honest, and that's what's great about it. South of Umbra, great to have you back as always. Appreciate the honesty and the integrity that you bring to every show that you're on, whether it be here, your own, or of course with the gang on Friday nights. Let's get and sell your brand. Obviously, The Fix happens Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You and Daniel McGee do a great job of not only keeping everyone up to date with pop culture, you talk about gaming, and sometimes Danny goes off the handle, especially when it's about Nintendo, because obviously anyone that uses a Nintendo, whether it be a Switch, a DS, or otherwise, are cavemen playing with poo and sticks. So it's always fun to hear his thoughts and his theories about that.
Indeed.
Brother, sell the brand. Where can people subscribe to The Fix? I know you're close on a big achievement. I think you said you're at almost 3,000. Is that what it is?
Almost 2,000.
2,000. So let's get him there, folks. Subscribe to his channel. He does a great work in the community and deserves the accolades of hitting 2K. Brother, sell the brand. Where can they subscribe? And more importantly, follow you on social media.
And the added benefit, I mean, if you guys come and join us, sometimes I'll break out into song, like I'm at a cabaret or something. I don't know. I did my South of Midnight on them during the show. You'll probably hear me this week, Molly. I'm not going to go past that, but
that's good.
Yeah. Oh, or I'm not going to say it because I want you all to experience it. I'll just say this: like, you can hear the joy in my head and how I'm talking about it. You can hear it in what I'm not even. This is no act when I'm saying this, right? So when you guys get to that, turn off thoughts of, it need to be this. Just play the game and experience it for what it is. And make your own judgment. I'm not saying you're going to come to agree with what I'm saying. I just say just do it and play it as it's meant to be. And I think you'll like the game a lot. That said, great show. Thanks to the chat for you all being here with us, holding us down. Boom, you doing what you do. Jamie, for you doing what you do. Paris, thank you for joining in with us, brother. Giving life lessons, as you do, and respectability. I appreciate you. as far as where you can find me, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You will find me either way on social media. And like Boom mentioned, Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern, The Fix with myself and Daniel J. McGee. And Fridays, the Infinite Podcast with myself, Risk It for the Biscuit, as host. That blue number, Dante Moody, aka Spriggan. And we lost, unfortunately, Garuda Intruder. He had to step away from the show, from life. You know, he got things going on, so it's just us for now. But yeah, I mean, for those who might be aspiring to jump into doing the podcasting, you know, I will say this: don't think that you can't do what we do. Yep. I used to have that thought as well. And you know, don't dim your voice if you feel like this is something you want to talk about. I love gaming, and you all, I'm sure, love it as well. That's why we do what we do. So get out there and, you know, get busy, start talking. If you want to jump on my show and you know you have a decent setup, mic wise, whatever, hey, hit me up and say, hey, can a brother jump on for this and talk? Let's do that. Boom gives out, you know, chances to people to jump on the show all the time. That's how I got on here, actually. You know, so I think I was in a chat one time and I was like, hey, Boom, such and such. And he's like, you know what? Let me reach out to him. And I got on the show.
There you go. Again, I listen, that's what's done to me. Like, I know a lot of people don't like crap and Mooch. I get it. They've done some things where they flipped, and I get all of that. But as a person, Mooch, you know, I had reached out to Mooch. Mooch got back to me, said, hey, yeah, come on the show. Here's a link. And I joined the show, and then I came on. A lot of people like, oh man, who's this Boom guy? He's got some good thoughts and some theories. Mooch asked me back 1 or 2 more times. All I wanted to do was to be on a podcast. I didn't expect to do it not only full time, but come back. And when he asked me to do full time, I spent 3 years on Crap and Mooch's show on Friday nights on Crossfire. And then of course I aspired to do my own thing. And well, now we have a syndicated program where it's 5 days a week. But we try to give those opportunities to everyone because it was given to me. So we're always going to pay it forward. But please continue there, Umbra.
Sorry, I was muted. Just want to thanks Torino for mentioning that. I put the link in the chat. I have to give you, like I was almost saying as you were saying, I was like, through the fire, because that's what you went through to be there with some of these characters here. I'm glad you're no longer there and you're doing your thing over here. I'll just say that to be generous.
Yes.
And you know, peaceful. But yeah, good thing you got your own thing going, brother, and keep doing what you do. You're definitely inspiring me because I tell you, I'm not doing 5 shows a week. I can tell you that right now.
It's work.
My numbers would drop exponentially in gaming if I did that, and I'll be tired. I don't know how you do it. I still don't. But Jamie has a show later today, guys. So make sure you check out for that. Jamie, when you share that link, please do it before I
he did. He dropped it in.
Share it.
Yep.
So I can share it out to people too.
Yeah,
and
thanks,
thank you all in the chat again, man. We're gonna get out of here. You all have a good one.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. The chat, thank you so much. We had almost 900 people here, which is incredible. Like, you never know what's going to get people to tune in, whether it be drama, controversy. Hopefully, it's just because you like hearing our voices, and we have a lot of fun with talking about gaming. That's ultimately what we do. But a big thank you to everyone that tuned in, as always. A big thank you once again to all the super chats. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And it would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.